So let us have understanding of the concept of side pocketing. Let me explain to you by an example. I take some values, say, to give explanation to you. Um, I'm taking some very simple values. Suppose mutual fund A has made investments. Investment is made in debenture X, an amount of 2 lakhs, and other investments are 8 lakhs. So net asset of the mutual fund is 10 lakhs. Number of units that the mutual fund has issued is, let us say, 50,000. So 10 lakhs upon 50,000. So the net asset value is rupees 20. Now, first of all, let us have understanding that, say, what was the kind of issue which investors were facing, and then the concept of the side pocketing was introduced. Now, let us assume that it happens in this way, which practically number of times happens, that, say, the X company is defaulting in payment of interest. Mutual fund A had made investment in debenture of X company in the time when, so, the debenture of X company was triple A rated. However, over some time period, say, the performance or the financial position of the company X deteriorated, and say on a fine, that is very fine day, it happens like this. So the company X is defaulting in the payment of interest. So soon after that, what happens that, say, the credit rating agencies, say, downgrade the credit rating of the debenture of X company. Soon after that, what happens that, say, the mutual fund A is required to book the loss with respect to the investment that, say, they have made over here. The loss that they have to book is depending upon the downgrading of the credit rating from AAA, is it B, triple B, C, triple C, double C, D, something like that. More downgrading, more loss is required to be incorporated. Less downgrading, less loss is required to be recorded. Let us assume that, say, it is required to be completely written off. So soon after that, the debenture of the X company is now 0. Other investments are 8 lakhs. Net asset is 8 lakhs. Again 50,000 number of units. So 8 lakhs upon 50,000. So it comes to rupees 16 per unit. An investor is there. Let us say an investor, Mr. P, and he is holding, let us say, 100 units. Soon after all this, let us say that, say, he becomes panic and he sells his investment. So what he will receive, 16 into 100, he will get an amount of rupees 1600. And with that, say, he is, say, redeeming his investment. Remember that mutual fund A has not sold investment that they have made in security X. They have not sold the debentures of this X company. It is only that, say, they have mentioned or they have recorded a book entry. Then they will definitely make an effort for the legal procedure, or it may happen that, say, the company X itself is reviving, and we don't know that, say, it will take what time, that is in the legal battle or in the revival of company X or anything. Let us say that, say, after 3 years, mutual fund A is able to recover out of this 2 lakhs of rupees, let us say 1,50,000 rupees. It happens like this, say, after 3 years. In that case, from this 1,50,000 rupees, whether anything will be given to Mr. P? The answer is no. Why? Because he has already redeemed his investment, say after the downgrading of the value of the investment. And actually, he is entitled to receive a certain portion of this 1,50,000 rupees. Why? Because say at this point of time, he was holding his units. So this is what's the kind of problem which the investors were facing. So there is a concept which say the SEBI allowed to introduce, say, and that is given a name as side pocketing. We understand that say the normal meaning, so this is my main pocket. From that say I transfer something over here, so it is called side pocketing, or I transfer it over here, that is side pocketing. So what will happen in side pocketing? That is say, understand it. Whatever the 10 lakh rupees of the net assets, from that, so there will be bifurcation. 8 lakhs is like the proper funds, there is no issue, and this 2 lakh rupees is the investment where there is an issue. Number of units are 50,000. Number of units are 50,000. What will happen? The investors will be say allotted with two types of units. Let us say that say this is mutual fund A units and mutual fund A plus units. Like that say 50,000 number of units will be issued of mutual fund A, and again this 50,000 of mutual fund A plus. For this NAV per unit will be 16, and for this right now it is 4, and if it is completely written off then it is 0. Now Mr. P is say selling his investment. He will be getting an amount of 16, and still he is holding this 50,000 number of units of mutual fund A plus. So whenever the mutual fund is recovering some amount out of it, let us say that say as I told you that it is receiving an amount of 1,50,000, then that 1,50,000 upon 50,000 number of units, 3 rupees will be given said to that is said to each of the unit holder. This is the concept of side pocketing. Now I am reading the content of the side pocketing. In simple words, side pocketing in mutual funds leads to separation of risky assets, that is that 2 lakh rupees, from other investments, that is that 8 lakhs of rupees, and cash only. The purpose is to make sure that money invested in mutual fund which is linked to stressed assets. Stressed asset means the debentures of the company X in our example gets locked until the fund recovers the money from the company, or could avoid distress selling of illiquid securities. The modus operating, so the execution is very simple. Whenever the rating of the mutual fund decreases, in a way that the rating of that debenture decreases, that is what they want to mention. The fund shifts the illiquid assets, that is 2 lakhs, into side pocket. Okay, like this you have to understand, side pocket, so that current shareholders, unit holders, Mr. P in our example, can be benefited from liquid assets, that is 8 lakhs. Consequently, net asset value of the fund will then reflect the mutual fund's actual value of the liquid assets, that is 16. Side pocketing, that is pocketing, is beneficial to those investors who wish to hold on the units of the main funds for long term. Therefore, the process of the side pocketing ensures that the liquidity is not the problem even in the circumstances of frequent allotment and the redemptions. And one of the practical issues once again over here is that when the value of the unit is falling down, then the number of investors will go on the redemption. and the mutual fund may not be having say the adequate funds say to go for the redemption. Side pocketing is quite common internationally. Friends, in India it was introduced say late in comparison to the that is say the countries in which it is allowed right now. However, fortunately it is now introduced in India. SEBI has allowed it. However, side pocketing has to be resorted to benefit to the investors' genuine returns. That's very true. In the recent fiasco in the ILFS, infrastructure leasing and financial services, has led to many discussions on the concept of the side pocketing, as ILFS and its subsidiaries have failed to fulfill its repayment obligation. So this company failed to repayment its obligation due to severe liquidity crisis. So those mutual fund who made investment in this like the security have to write off their investment, and because of that their own NAV is reducing. Now mutual funds have given negative returns because they have completely written off, understand it, completely written off their exposure to ILFS instruments. And one important point, friends, I would like to tell you that when this 1,50,000 is received earlier, not now, then in that case, what happens that say those investors who have added in the mutual fund, say during this time period of 3 years, are getting advantage of this 1,50,000, even though they were not the investors at this point of time. So they have not contributed for the return and they get the return. This is happening. That is, this was happening earlier. So we have that side pocketing as the concept.